All right, so there's a lot of earthquakes happening around the world today as of September the 9th, 2025. We've got a 6.4, a 6.0, a 5.8, and these are happening everywhere, but particularly on the west coast of the United States. We are seeing earthquake after earthquake, and it will not stop trembling. Seems like ever since we had that 8.8 magnitude earthquake hit off the Kamchatka Peninsula in Russia in the Pacific Ring of Fire, we are seeing nonstop quaking. I'm going to get you caught up on the latest as we are seeing tons of reports coming out all along the west coast of the United States of nonstop shaking. Let's go ahead and take a look so that way you can see it for yourself. So first off, updated just 31 minutes ago, there was a 5.8 magnitude earthquake. Several aftershocks have rumbled off the west coast. And yes, we're going to be talking about Oregon and California. A 5.1 magnitude earthquake, the latest in a swarm off of the Oregon coast, and also all the way down. We're going to be taking a look at maps of this as well. Magnitude 3.3 earthquake strikes along the San Andreas Fault in California high desert, and we've heard a lot of warnings about the San Andreas Fault. And take a look at this. Also, Northern California earthquake measuring a 3.9 jolts area close to Petrolia, California on September 9th. Today. Now, also, in addition to that, a 3.9 magnitude earthquake hits off the coast near Humboldt County. And like I said, this one is actually the same one from the article we just read, but they're going to have a map breakdown of the earthquakes that have been happening off of the west coast today, September 9th, 2025. Now, in addition to that, some major earthquakes hitting around the world as take a look at this. Magnitude 6.4 earthquake hits near Vanuatu, Fiji. And we had a potential tsunami alert, but we are hearing it has been called off, luckily, as take a look at this. Large earthquake strikes a popular holiday island in Greece. Tsunami warnings after a magnitude 6 earthquake strikes off the Crete coast in Greece, but we're hearing that those tsunami warnings have been waved off. That is the latest coming in on that. However, there are earthquakes happening left and right around the world. And as I mentioned, it does appear that ever since we had that 8.8 back in July off of the Kamchatka Peninsula in Russia, we have just been seeing quake after quake. The world just appears to not stop trembling since then. And man, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Are we going to be seeing more earthquakes? This intensifying. I let a lot of people know here on the channel that back in March, scientists said that they believe that this is tied directly to the sun. The solar activity, we are seeing coronal mass ejections that are being emitted towards the Earth are causing, they're saying, the tectonic plates to move. And we are now seeing earthquakes, volcano eruptions, what's being described as a parade of volcanoes from the Pacific Ring of Fire. We're seeing tsunami alerts as a result of all the seismic activity. And they're saying there is more on the way with the activity from the sun. Do you think we're going to be seeing more major earthquakes striking before the end of the year? Let me know your thoughts. If so, put yes. If no, put no. But it just seems like it is a regular occurrence for every other day now there to be a 6.0, 7.0, 8.0, 8.8 magnitude earthquake. The world is trembling. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Now, while you drop yes or no in the comments, don't forget to take a quick second for me and hit that thumbs up like button if you haven't done so yet. I see we've got over 2,200 people live with me in the room. If we could get half of the room to hit the like button as we dive in, it really helps out the live stream, helps spread this out further across the YouTube platform. I would appreciate it. Just takes a second. Helps out a ton. Thank you so much. Now, in addition to that, to stay up to date on everything, please hit that subscribe button. It's totally free. I pretty much do daily updates, sometimes 2 updates a day now with all the news coming out, and I just report it as I see it. Now, before we went live, somebody was asking me too, what about all the threats that are going on right now with China, Russia, North Korea? Are we going to be entering World War III? Yesterday, we saw a lot of naval ships positioning all around the world for potential intense conflict, and we're hearing that there are submarines, there are jets. Venezuela is threatening the United States. What's going on with that? As the news rolls out, I will report it here on the channel. Try to do my best to get you the quickest updates as soon as possible. So I'll keep you up to speed on everything. Like I said, earthquakes, conflicts, legislation. I'll keep you up to speed here on the channel. Hit that subscribe button. And as always, for those of you that are new here, I cite all of my sources. So all the articles I'm going to be referencing today, as always, they are linked with hyperlinks in the description. I'm going to put it on the screen, read right from it, show you the dates, the sources, so you can know and rest assured that this is the latest information. As of today, September the 9th, 2025, try to hold myself to the highest level of accountability for my community here on the channel. And again, if you appreciate that, quick second, push that thumbs up like button. Helps out a ton. Thank you guys so much. But with that being said, let's go ahead and cover all the earthquakes hitting today, September the 9th, 2025, so that way you can see it for yourself. Now, take a look here. First off, let's start with the West Coast, the United States, California, Oregon. You can see what's going on the Pacific Coast along the Ring of Fire. A 5.8 magnitude earthquake. Several aftershocks have rumbled off the West Coast. We're going to take a look at this article right after this. There's going to be an update as to just how many have hit in the last 24 hours. Now, several moderate earthquakes, including a 5.8 magnitude tremor, have rumbled below the Pacific Ocean off the West Coast late Monday and into early Tuesday today, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. The 5.8 quake shook at 9:08 p.m. Monday and was centered more than 100 miles off the Oregon coast, the USGS said. Now, no tsunami warning was issued for this particular quake that took place off of Oregon. Now, it was followed by several more moderate quakes in the same vicinity, including a 4.9 magnitude at 10:59 p.m. Monday and a 4.9 at 12:02 a.m. on Tuesday, and then a 5.1 at 12:31 p.m. Tuesday, the USGS data showed. There were also 3 moderate earthquakes, including a 3.9 magnitude off the coast of Northern California, the USGS said. We're going to be taking a look at that one here shortly as well. Earlier on Tuesday, today as well, a 2.7 magnitude quake shook south of Gilroy, according to the USGS. California, Oregon, shaking nonstop today, September the 9th, 2025, all along the Pacific coast. Let me know your thoughts. The Ring of Fire, it is jolting right now. It is trembling. We're seeing quake after quake happening today. Now, let's take a look at an update on this as well. A 5.1 magnitude earthquake, the latest in a swarm off the Oregon coast. This is an aftershock from the one that we saw from that 5.8. Now, this says earthquakes continued to rumble just off the shore of the Oregon coast. The latest earthquake, measured a 5.1 in magnitude, was recorded just after 12:30 p.m. on Tuesday, according to the United States Geological Survey, the USGS. This is now the 12th earthquake recorded in the area in just the last 24 hours. It all started after a 5.8 magnitude quake struck just after 9 p.m. on Monday. Since then, the USGS has tracked 11 additional tremors, ranging in magnitudes from 2.7 to the latest 5.1 magnitude quake. Now, all 12 earthquakes have occurred in an area approximately 100 miles offshore at relatively shallow depths. There have been no reports of damage or injuries related to the seismic activity. The USGS has recorded 4 reports from residents saying they felt the shaking. Reports can be submitted online. According to the USGS, earthquakes ranging in magnitude from a 2.5 to a 3.0 are generally the smallest ones felt by humans. Damage is more likely from earthquakes of a magnitude 4.0 or greater. So, earthquake after earthquake hitting Oregon, California, the West Coast today, September the 9th. Now, also, take a look at this. A magnitude 3.3 earthquake strikes along the San Andreas Fault in California high desert. You can see coming out today, September the 9th, 2025. Now, this reads, an earthquake struck near high desert community of Pear Blossom and along the San Andreas Fault. The magnitude 3.3 quake struck at 10:49 p.m. on Monday, September the 8th, 4 miles south of Pear Blossom in Los Angeles County, the U.S. Geological Survey has reported, and there you can see an outline of it. It says a magnitude 3.3 struck near the high desert community of Pear Blossom and along the San Andreas Fault west of Victor Valley. Here's a layout of the impact. The earthquake struck west of the San Bernardino County line and was felt from Victorville to Santa Clarita and Palmdale to Long Beach. Pear Blossom is the site of the Mojave section of the San Andreas Fault, which stretches from the Gulf of California in Mexico and ends just a few miles south of Eureka in Northern California. Now, take a look at this picture right here. This is the San Andreas Fault. It is a sliding boundary which slices California from Cape Mendocino to the Mexican border. In Southern California, the fault runs through areas like the Desert Hot Springs. Now, also, I shared with you not too long ago, we had heard that there was a fault line over in Nevada, where the ground was splitting apart. And after shaking and shaking, repeated rumblings, they were seeing that fault line starting to tear and open up in Nevada. And now we're also seeing the San Andreas getting some activity as well in the last 24 hours. Now, in Southern California, the fault runs through areas like Desert Hot Springs, Devore, San Bernardino, Wrightwood, and Palmdale. Now, there were no reports of injuries or damage. Now, we'll see if there's any more that come out of here. If there is, I'll be sure to let you know, but that is the latest, just small quakes hitting in Southern California, but a lot happening up in the northern part of the coast as well. Now, also, speaking of the north part of the coast, update. Earthquake measuring a 3.9 jolts the area close to Petrolia, California, today, September the 9th, 2025. Now, you can see here a 3.9 quake was registered near Petrolia at midday on Tuesday today, the USGS reported. Now, the tremor rattled the region at 12:40 or 11:40 a.m. local time. It occurred at a depth of 4 miles, with the epicenter situated roughly 33 miles west of Petrolia. Seismologists first reported it as a 4.0 event, but later downgraded it to a 3.9. Now, if you felt the earthquake, you can share your experience using the USGS Felt Report form. The agency has so far received 10 reports via its online form from people who report they experienced the quake. Weak shaking has been detected, and several people reported feeling the tremor in Ferndale and around the surrounding areas, according to the USGS DYFI. Aqua, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. I appreciate that generosity. She says, thank you for your hard work, Steve. Many blessings sings to you and your family. We have been talking about this for some time. Thank you so much for that, Aqua. I appreciate those kind words and the blessings to me and my family. I will continue to keep you up to date on everything. And yes, a lot going on with the earthquakes. It seems like ever since that 8.8 hit, I believe that was at the end of July, it just seems like things have not stopped trembling around the world, specifically around that Pacific Ring of Fire. A lot of activity has been going on. So you can see here is the location of this one that is in this report. And it says last week, there have been 6 earthquakes with a magnitude 2.5 or higher centered nearby this quake. The most significant was a 3.6 magnitude earthquake recorded in the same region prior to this quake. What to know about earthquakes? Magnitude measures the energy released at the source of the earthquake. The U.S. Geological Survey says it replaces the old Richter scale. Quakes between 2.5 and 5.4 magnitude are often felt but rarely cause much damage, according to Michigan Tech. Earthquakes below 2.5 magnitude are seldom felt by most people. Earthquakes' sudden, rapid shaking can cause fires, tsunamis, landslides, or avalanches. They can happen anywhere, but are most common in Alaska, California, Hawaii, Oregon, Puerto Rico, and Washington, according to the Department of Homeland Security. It is estimated that there are 500,000 detectable earthquakes in the world each year. 100,000 of those can be felt, and 100 of them causing damage. So, what to do during an earthquake? If an earthquake strikes, it's best to protect yourself right away. Here are some tips from experts. If you're in a car, pull over and stop. Set your parking brake. If you're in bed, turn face down and cover your head with a pillow. If you're outdoors, stay away from buildings. Do not go inside. If you're inside, stay and don't run outdoors. Stay away from doorways. Now, the best way to protect yourself during an earthquake is to drop Cover and hold on, officials say. Wherever you are, drop down to your hands and knees and hold on to something sturdy, officials say. If you're using a wheelchair or a walker with a seat, make sure your wheels are locked and remain seated until the shaking stops. Be sure to cover your head, your neck with your arms. Crawl under a sturdy table if possible. If no shelter is available, crawl to an interior wall away from windows. Once under a table, officials say you should hold on with one hand and be ready to move with it. There can be serious hazards after an earthquake, such as damage to buildings, leaking gas, water lines, or down power lines, officials say. Expect aftershocks to follow the main shock of an earthquake. Be ready to drop, cover, and hold on if you feel an aftershock. This coming, it says, source from the U.S. Geological Survey. So there you have it, another one. This one coming out from the Sacramento Bee for Northern California. And this one has a map of that as well, so you can see it for yourself. 3.9 magnitude earthquake hits off the coast near Humboldt County, USGS says. And let's go ahead and scroll down here. A magnitude 3.9 earthquake struck off the coast near Humboldt County on Tuesday, the USGS said. The quake hit around 12:40 p.m. That's about 34 miles west of Petrolia. It had a depth of 1.2 miles. The quake was initially reported as a 4.0. And we've got this tracker map here that will show us, there it is, the location, the epicenter near the coast, Northern California, 4.0, downgraded to a 3.9. And you can see the various quakes that hit, 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm counting 5 dots. And you can see how far out it reaches into the west coast. You can see here the size of it is the magnitude, and the lines is the intensity and how far it stretches. Up in Northern California, you can see this updated 2 hours ago, a 5.1 epicenter in Port Orford, Oregon. And so these both just happening in the last 2 hours. So the West Coast right now is trembling quite a bit in the United States. Now, I'm going to share with you some bigger ones here in just a second, but let me know your thoughts. Are you concerned for the West Coast of the United States? We've been seeing a lot of trembling going on, and specifically we're seeing that they're around the 5s. We saw a 5.8, a 5.1. We're seeing some down in the 4s and the 3s. But one of the issues is the constant trembling, as we saw in Nevada, where the ground actually tore open after we had several repeated earthquakes that were all around the 3s or 4s, not what most people would consider major earthquakes, but the ground started breaking because it was repeated quakes happening over and over and over. And that appears to be what we're seeing. A lot of seismic activity happening day after day after day, tearing apart at the ground. Are you concerned? Are you afraid there could be a big one? Or, we've heard the warnings of the West Coast potentially tearing apart as a result of all the seismic activity. Do you think that we're going to be going that route? If so, put yes. If no, put no. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But now let's take a look at some of the big ones that have happened over the last 24 hours roughly around the world, so that way you can see the tsunami alerts that came, the major earthquakes that have hit as of today, September the 9th, 2025. Now, let's take a look at this one. A magnitude 6.4 earthquake hits near Vanuatu, Fiji. Now, this article says a magnitude 6.4 had struck near Vanuatu and Fiji on Tuesday morning. The earthquake was at a depth of 10 kilometers and occurred at 9:47 a.m., according to the U.S. Geological Survey. And wow, that's all the information we got on that one. It's just that there was a major quake that hit off the coast in Fiji. Now, also, we had this big one that caused those tsunami warnings that came out, and this one was off of Greece. Large earthquake strikes popular holiday island in Greece. The earthquake sent tremors across a wide area as far as Athens. And you can see this coming out today, September the 9th, 2025. Tsunami warning after magnitude 6 earthquake strikes off of Crete coast in Greece. Now it says a strong 5.2 magnitude earthquake struck near the Greek island of Evia, sending tremors across a wide area as far as the capital, Athens. The earthquake occurred at 12:27 a.m. local time and took place about 5 kilometers or 3.1 miles northwest of the town of Nea Styra in Evia, according to the Institute of Geodynamics in Athens. Tremors could be felt as far as Athens, about 50 kilometers or 31 miles from the earthquake epicenter, Reuters reported. There were no reports of casualties or major damage, as seismologists assured the public that there was no reason for concern. This is an area that, based on historical and instrumental data, does not usually generate stronger earthquakes. Likas, the head of Greece's Earthquake Planning and Protection Authority, told the Greek state broadcast ERT. We are monitoring the situation, he added. And here you can see a map of that area. Now, some residents on Greece's second largest island, a popular holiday destination, said the tremors were so strong that they spent the night outdoors out of precaution. The earthquake lasted a long time, and we were very worried. It was the first time that we had felt such a strong quake in our area, one of the residents in Nea Styra told ERT. Now, as the broadcaster's political show, Off the Record, went live, the camera could be seen visibly shaking for about 30 seconds as the host said a strong earthquake is currently underway and continuing. Now, seismologists Gerismo Papadopoulos, chairman of International Society for Prevention and Mitigation of Natural Hazards, urge people to remain calm as aftershocks continue to be felt following the initial 5.2 magnitude earthquake. He said on social media, aftershocks continue, but not with significant magnitudes. 2.8 was the largest. They may become larger and will be felt. Therefore, we need to stay calm. Now, across the South Euboean Gulf in the historic town of Marathon, local mayor Stergios Sturkis said the earthquake was very intense, but noted that there were no reports of damage. Evia experiences moderate and fairly common earthquake activity. Most recently, in May, there was a 4.5 magnitude earthquake that struck 1.9 miles east of Prokopoi, a village located in the north of the island. More than 50 houses, as well as several public buildings and schools, sustained damage as a result of the quake, according to local reports. A fire brigade official told Reuters that there were no calls for assistance so far. Our forces are out checking on potential damage, officials added. The northeast of Crete experienced a powerful magnitude 6.1 earthquake earlier in the year in May. No injuries or damage were reported, but popular tourist spots, the Samaria and the Imbros gorges, were temporarily closed as a precaution. Now, UNESCO warned in February that seismic activity has surged in popular holiday destination Santorini, which continue to baffle scientists, keeping disaster risk management teams and equally people in general high alert and suspense. Seismic data from the National Observatory of Athens indicated that the island experienced 1,200 earthquakes with magnitudes ranging from 1.0 to 5.2 between January 25th and February 7th earlier this year. So a whole lot of activity going on in that particular region as well. We are just seeing things trembling. It is intense right now, man. So there was a potential tsunami alert that was initiated as a result of this. However, they're saying that they were able to call that off. But they're saying as of recently, it just appears that the earthquakes won't stop, and there is a lot of trembling all throughout the world, but particularly we're also seeing in the Pacific Ring of Fire off the west coast of the United States today, at least a dozen happening up in Oregon. We're also seeing them in Northern California, Southern California. We're seeing them in Fiji, in Greece. The world is trembling. Man, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Now, I've been asking this pretty much every time I'm doing an update on earthquakes. Let me know your thoughts. Let me see if anybody's perspective has changed. Do you think that this is as a result of the sun or just natural causes? If so, put a 1. Do you think that this is God warning us about something? If so, put a 2. Do you think that this is as a result of a nuclear explosion underground in the Kamchatka Peninsula over by Russia? Heard a lot of people speculating about that area and that 8.8 actually being an underground nuclear explosion. If you think that that's the case, put a 3. Or if you think that this is weather manipulation, I've heard a lot of people vocalize that as well, that this is actually orchestrated by man. Put a 4. Let me know your thoughts. 1, this is just natural. 2, there's something to do with a higher power. 3, you think that there was a nuclear detonation of some kind. Or 4, this is weather manipulation. Let me know which one you think it is or what combination of these you think it is in the comments, because I've seen a lot of people messaging me about this. Curious to see your thoughts, and I'm seeing a lot of 2s and some 1s pouring in across the board. I'm also seeing a 3 pouring in as well. People with various opinions as to what is really going on right now. Now, regardless of what it is, I will continue to keep you up to date here on the channel so that way you know exactly what is going on. And again, do me a favor, if you appreciate that and that I cite the sources, put it on the screen. Take a quick second, hit that like button for me. I see we got 3,400 people on with me live. If we could get those likes up to 1,700 while we're live, just need 50 more to do so. Really helps out the channel while we're live. Appreciate it a ton. Also, to stay up to date, hit the subscribe button. And as always, all of the articles that I'm referencing, I'm putting on the screen and I'm reading from, they are hyperlinked in the description, so you can click them. Go read them for yourself if you'd like. Try to hold myself to the highest level of accountability here on the channel. But that is the latest, you guys. A whole lot going on with earthquakes. I will continue to keep you up to date on everything. Somebody's mentioning the solar flares. Yes, I'll keep you up to speed on that as well, so you know exactly what is taking place. But a lot of trembling all around the world today, and as more comes out, I'll let you know. That is the latest, you guys, as of today, September the 9th, 2025. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. God bless. This is Steve.